Yeah, it is that time again. It is Andre Barnes with Policy. We are making a transition in the branding of the show. We were formerly Policy Barnes and Jackson. However, we're going to call the show now the Policy Hour with Andre Barnes. And I will be your guide as we break down these videos and we also look at the policies that can solve the problems that we're seeing in some of the videos. It's one thing if we decide, oh, I am offended or I don't like what's happening. It's another thing for us to actually take some action and to have an impact on our communities. So, what I like to do now is I like to first highlight my I voted sticker. I don't know if you guys can see that well. I voted. But I think voting is important. Whatever your political ideology is, voting is important. Make an impact on your community. Your vote does matter. Now, I'd like to kind of dive into this week because I know I haven't been on my normal one video after another. And I've been trying to get back into a groove, but we're back. We're back. I'm not dressed up like I'm usually dressed up, but I feel good, even though I have a little bit of a cold. I feel good enough to want to get this information out to you and to actually have this discussion with you so you can think about the impacts that some of this newsworthy information is actually having on your community. So without further ado, we're going to talk about truckers. Like, truckers have been in the news. We've had devastating accidents based on people not being able to speak English. So I called this episode Corruption and English as a Second Language because the inability of some of these people that have been here for decades that come to the United States to not really take on the English language is something that's kind of interesting to me because it's not a prerequisite, but what we have seen in the past is that people have tried to assimilate to American culture, whereas now we're seeing people also want to kind of stay in their own pockets and kind of maintain their own culture. So you have places around the United States that become Little Havana, Little Mexico, Little whatever. And we don't want to create all these factions because I don't know if you guys remember, but Descartes, who was a theorist on ideology, he was just a genius. He basically stated that if we have all these different factions, that the different groups would possibly be the downfall or be a threat to what we know as our um, American way of life and our democracy. So, and to be more clear, our democratic republic. So, I wanted to kind of look at some of the things that the truckers were doing or was happening in the trucking world and just kind of get your feedback and just break this down for you.
I also think we have to take a look at the shippers, the people who load up these rigs and send them across the country. There's a lot of interaction between the shipper and the trucker. And if you can't speak English, I think those shippers should be held to account to say, listen, I'm not going to put my load on that truck with that driver because they're breaking the law.
Absolutely. We are seeing the truckers be taken into custody. We've seen the truckers be at the scene of the accident. Everybody's complaining that the truckers don't know English. However, what we need to also focus on is to put the blame on the shipper, put the blame on some of these companies that are allowing people to work for them that don't have command of the English language. I think that we have to start pressuring the corporations, pressuring the businesses that are allowing these things to happen. And once we start to do that, that's when we'll start to see some of these issues with the truckers and the accidents go down. Once we start holding these companies accountable, they will not allow these type of things to slip.
We have a lot of levers to pull, so we'll be watching. And I know that you've already pulled some of those levers, but watching for those other levers to be pulled against companies or, for example, the state of California.
So that's one video that I wanted to highlight that kind of went over the situation that we're seeing for the truckers. And I wanted you to really see what Kristi Noem also had to say about the situation.
Mayor Johnson's doing, by what Governor Pritzker is doing, it's endangering lives, and they need to stop. They need to.
Actually, she's talking about a different thing, and we can just kind of transition into that. We've seen that ICE has had their percentage of attacks go up to 8,000%. And what she's going to kind of highlight in this video is she's going to kind of attack the rhetoric. And other politicians, other congressmen have also attacked this, but there are other politicians, such as Mayor Johnson, such as Governor Pritzker, that are continuing to really put out this harsh negative rhetoric about ICE. And it's one thing to have a negative opinion, but when you compare them to Hitler, when you compare them to the Gestapo, these are things that are going to incite and fan the flames of rebellion and violence. And that's not what we want. We don't want to see government officials get hurt over the disagreement between how ICE should deal with apprehending people that shouldn't be here in this country. That's what we don't want to do. We want to put ourselves in a situation where, number one, we're following the law. And number two, if people have problems with those laws, they need to go to Congress. They need to put pressure on their congressmen to say, hey, we need to have regulations on how ICE is dealing with people. But when people take it into their own hands, when they're blocking ICE agents, when they're protesting them, when they're throwing rocks at them, when they're towing their vehicles, when they're shooting at them or attempting to shoot at them, this all causes problems. So without further ado, I wanted to really kind of transition into what Kristi Noem is saying on this subject.
Mayor Johnson's doing, by what Governor Pritzker is doing, it's endangering lives, and they need to stop. They need to stop because there's consequences to it. Their words have consequences, and we're seeing that. An 8,000% increase in death threats against law enforcement. That's horrific. That shouldn't be happening in America. That shouldn't happen anywhere in the world, and I blame them. I place the blame squarely on their shoulders. By what Mayor Johnson's...
As she should. Because as I said, if you're an elected official, you have to set an example. You have to live at a higher standard. You have to watch what you say, because people are watching you. People are listening to you. People are following your lead. Even if you have a single digit popularity rate right now, people are still paying attention to you. And there are still enough people that will follow your lead, that will take violence against ICE, who will threaten ICE, who will put ICE and try to dox them and reveal who they are to the public. Nobody wants that to happen. But if we keep creating and cultivating that type of environment, this is what we'll continue to see. Okay. So we're going to kind of transition. We're going to really start to look at a different aspect of this, because what has been in the news and media lately now are disagreements about SNAP benefits. Right now, the government is shut down. We're over 30 days. It's looking horrendous. There doesn't seem to be any sort of end in sight. And I just want you to hear this conversation about what's going on and some of the things that involve immigration and SNAP. Because a lot of people don't understand that there's a link between immigration and SNAP and what's happening with the SNAP benefits. So I'm going to go to that in just 1 second.
Thank you so much for being on the program, man. This is a wonderful turnabout, and for doing this report. Welcome.
Benny, glad to be here. This was, by the way, Monday night when we did this. So this was, talk about the third rail. It's like part of the conversation now. Sunday going into Monday, I talked to my team. I said, this is it. And they said, I don't know. We don't really see it. I said, this is a gift. Democrats have shut the government down now, 13 times. This is an ancillary benefit to a Democrat government shutdown because I wasn't aware of this. 42 million people, as you said, not Americans. These aren't Americans. 48.5% are illegal aliens, meaning they came here illegally, and now they are illegally collecting food stamps. It's not SNAP. It's not SNAP. This is, Democrats do this. They change the language. Sex change surgeries, gender affirming care. The unhoused, now homeless. Your master bedroom is now the primary bedroom, and SNAP is food stamps. Illegal aliens are dreamers or undocumented neighbors. This is what Democrats do. And I completely agree. Once the government reopens, and I've been in touch with people at the White House, and they don't want to do it because it's not popular. But look, every illegal alien collecting food stamps needs to no longer be collecting food stamps. Everyone should be forced to reapply as soon as the shutdown comes to an end.
Rob, thank you so much.
I 100% agree with that. I think that everyone should have to reapply. We need to get these people that are on food stamps, that are on SNAP illegally, get them off. Get them off. Why are we paying for illegal aliens? Why are our tax dollars going to that? You know, I'm getting ready to have 5 kids. I don't want my tax money going to some people that are not supposed to be here. I have my own family to take care of. I have my own community to be a part of and take care of and sponsor and make sure that the roads are taken care of, that the schools are of a good quality. I don't want my tax dollars going to people that should not be here in the first place. And we're talking about millions of people. Of the 42 million people that are on food stamps, there is another 48% that are illegal aliens. Let that sit for a while. 48% of 42 million, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people collecting benefits that shouldn't be getting it. I am done with this. We have policies in place to make sure that things like this don't happen. And we need to make sure that we follow the policy to the letter. If illegal aliens are not supposed to get benefits from SNAP, we need to make sure that they're removed. And I think that the Trump administration is doing a great job to make sure that everyone reapplies for SNAP properly, and the people that should be on SNAP should be on SNAP, and the people that should not should be removed. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. It's along the same lines about benefits, and I'd like to kind of go over this new video that kind of discusses many of the same thing, but we're not talking about SNAP benefits here. We're talking about other benefits such as development from the side of development that develops other countries. You're going to be shocked to hear what this lady has to say.
Did you hear? Apparently, USAID cuts have been harming third world nations that never bothered to develop their own economies while they were on the dole. Hodan Osman, president of the Somali Development and Reconstruction Bank, says that those cuts have had a severe impact on her country's economy. Somalia. They've been receiving development aid. This is separate from humanitarian aid for at least 43 years from U.S. taxpayers, and we have been the single largest donors to aid in that nation. By the way, 43 years? That's longer than my children receive development money from me. I think it's time for the little boys to act like grown-ups now, and I'm sure that after nearly half a century of U.S.-funded economic development, they actually have a developed economy. Wouldn't you think?
This is so interesting. I'm going to play this again because I'm not sure if you guys heard everything that she said, and then I'm going to comment. Okay? I want you guys to hear this again.
Oh no, did you hear? Apparently, USAID cuts have been harming third world nations that never bothered to develop their own economies while they were on the dole. Hodan Osman, president of the Somali Development and Reconstruction Bank, says that those cuts have had a severe impact on her country's economy. Somalia. They've been receiving development aid. This is separate from humanitarian aid for at least 43 years from U.S. taxpayers, and we have been the single largest donors to aid in that nation. By the way, 43 years? That's longer than my children receive development money from me. I think it's time for the little boys to act like grown-ups now, and I'm sure that after nearly half a century of U.S.-funded economic development, they actually have a developed economy. Wouldn't you think? Oh, no.
So what I'd like to highlight here, 43 years, the taxpayers, American taxpayers, have foot the bill for development in Somalia. I want that to sit with you for a second because my ears kind of perk up like a beagle, because in Minnesota, there's a high Somalian population, and they have a lot of elected officials there. And if you look at the country of Somalia, Somalia gets around 51% of its GDP from remittances. Okay? So not only has the United States been contributing to their development, humanitarian aid, they have also been receiving remittances from the people in the United States. So I'm not going to be surprised if I go to Somalia and it is like, the streets are paved with gold, because a lot of money is coming there. And if it's still not developed, then we need to look at who's running Somalia. We need to look at the government. Are they wasting the money? Is the money not getting to the people? And if that is the case, that is not an American problem or an American responsibility to continue to funnel money to a black hole that goes into some fat cat politician, big belly politics type situation in Somalia. I do not think that Americans should continue to fund that. And why isn't NBC, CNN, ABC talking about this? This is important. This is a scandal. 43 years we've been sending development money. And now Minnesota is overrun with the Somalian population. They've come there, they've gotten all the benefits, they have more children, and now they have more representation while Americans are continuing to struggle in Minnesota. We have to get off our humanitarian horse and really assess the situation. There are better ways that we can help people, but we need to put our priorities on Americans first. I'm not wearing my MAGA hat here. I'm wearing my sensibility hat. Okay. My sensibility hat says that we shouldn't be supporting development in Somalia for 43 years. We shouldn't allow untaxed remittances to go and fund like 51% of Somalia's GDP. And we definitely shouldn't have overrepresentation of Somalian politicians that only focus on Somalian issues. They are not helping Americans and aren't interested in advancing the interests of Americans. So that is another aspect of immigration that we definitely need to take a look at. Okay, now this final video has a little bit of both from the title that we've discussed. So the title of this show is Corruption and English as a Second Language. And we noticed that with the ramp up of mass immigration by the Biden administration, they were allowing people to come, submit themselves, to give up themselves at the border. And then they release them into the interior instead of doing what the Trump 1.0 did, was releasing them into Mexico and allowing them to do their asylum claim from Mexico. Now, these asylum claims also led to people getting into the interior and really getting some sort of status. They got temporary protected status. They were given legal access to our workforce, and they were given like a pseudo citizenship where they were able to work, and all they would have to do is show up to their asylum case 5 to 8 years later. Well, we're in a mess right now, and there are a lot of people who've been filling jobs that Americans used to do, and they're not speaking English. They're not able to communicate with the customers, and Americans are getting fed up. They're getting fed up because those jobs would be going to Americans. So let me put on this video. I think that, and if any of you know this lady and could tell her about me, I would be glad to meet this lady and have a conversation with her, because she is telling it like it is. And she's doing a great job of explaining this situation and kind of giving people a background about what happened before that really led to this. All right.
Lady don't understand nothing that I'm saying. So when I pull around to the window, I said, the menu screen back there is broken. She said, oh, you don't want a number 2? And I'm like, why does she keep saying number 2? I'm trying to tell her that the menu screen is broken. I said, well, let me just talk to your manager. Because now at this point, I'm just like, you really don't understand me, right? There's no miscommunication here. You don't understand English. So she says, hold on. And then this dude walks from, I was like, I'm just trying to let her know that the menu screen back there is broken. He was like, the menu screen? I said, yeah, the screen with the menu, that's food on it. I said, it's broken. He said, the menu screen? I said, oh, so you don't understand anything that I'm saying either? I said, are you a manager? I said, does anybody in here speak English? They looked at me like I was crazy. I mean, so I'm like, I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to call ICE on you motherfuckers. I said, because there's no way that all you guys is in here working and you can't understand what I'm saying. And the only thing you keep saying is, do I want a number 2? Soon as I said that, you should have seen how fast that lady closed that window and locked it, and they both moved away where you couldn't see them no more. They got all these people working in them, these franchises during COVID. They brought their people over here on these work visas, and they don't understand a lick of motherfucking English. And all them jobs like McDonald's and all that, that's where our youth used to work at. Now they got these grown ass motherfuckers in here taking these jobs from these kids, and they don't even understand English. I'm sorry, but most applications ask for experience. So where are they getting experience from if they can't even speak fucking English? That experience should be going to our American kids. ICE, come on, to Washington State. Please come to Washington State. And it's not just Latinos. It's Latinos, it's Africans, and it's these Indians from India. These three groups, they need to get a check on them because they are migrating here. And then once they get here, they're not fulfilling their work visas. They're not even learning how to speak English. And half of them is illegals. So come on, ICE, come to Washington State. It's time to clean up house because Patty Murray, Maria Cantwell, and Bob Ferguson, they're Marxists. They're socialists. Patty Murray is added on 36, has been in office 36 years. It's time for these people to go. So please, if Trump, get this to Trump, because it's time for y'all to come to Washington. It's not just Portland. It's not just Portland. And don't just go to Seattle because they've pushed everybody to the suburbs.
Wow. She really said it all. And pushing everybody to the suburbs is something that they've also done in Boston, Massachusetts. So you don't see them just in the city of Boston. They're out in the outskirts. It's not like New York. It's not like Chicago where they had the camp set up. They actually have blended them in. So what she's saying is correct. And what about our jobs for teenagers? What are we going to do? We have these teen takeovers in Chicago. We have all this misbehavior from our teenagers. They're not working. They don't have jobs. They don't have any responsibility. So what do we expect? What do we expect when we're not giving them opportunities to learn and grow? What I like to see is that we get some more opportunities for our teenagers, that we get some of these illegal workers out of the workforce, and we give Americans an opportunity to get the experience that she's talking about. Because how are these kids getting any work experience if the jobs that they used to work are being taken over by illegal aliens? Make it make sense. I think that this lady talking about her experience at McDonald's, not being able to communicate with the people at McDonald's about a problem on the outside, and then deciding that she's going to take actions in her own hands and take her community back. Because a lot of you will complain that you see a problem, but what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Are you voting? I voted today. Are you sending your elected officials emails? Are you calling their offices and saying, hey, I don't like this and this is why? I'm your constituents. You work for me. Are you doing those types of things? Are you going out with the activists to ensure that your policies are upheld in Congress, that or your state or local government? Are you out there advocating for people with your picket signs? What are you doing? It's one thing to be a keyboard warrior. It's one thing to put cute videos out. But if you're not taking actions politically, especially at the federal level, then it's all for naught. Your complaints go in the thin air. Your video may go viral, it may not. But what lasts is policy, getting laws on the books. That's what changes things. So I'm going to challenge you today Go to a rally. Get out of your house. Send an email to your elected official. Call them. Leave a message. Go to their offices. Did you know that the Capitol, the Senate, Congress, they're open to the public? That you can go there, knock on your elected official's door, talk to their staff, possibly set up a meeting. Did you know that you could do that? Did you know that the Capitol is the people's house? The Senate is the people's house? You have access. You can tell their staff how they feel. Even if the elected official doesn't come out, you can leave them a note. You can tell their staff that you're satisfied or unsatisfied. Start going. Start doing something. This lady did something. She said these people don't speak English here. They're taking jobs that could go to teenagers. I'm not getting the service that I want because I can't even see the board. And I'm going to do something about it. Do something. Do something today. I'm Andre Barnes, and this is the Policy Hour. We talk about immigration, the news of the day, and I challenge you to get out there and do something. Each week, I'm going to bring you some immigration news. We'll talk about policies sometimes. We'll talk about reactions, my reactions, your reactions to what's happening. Let's talk about it. But after we're done talking, let's take action. I'm Andre Barnes. I'm signing off, but I'm back. You're going to see regular videos of me on here talking about the policies because it's important to me. And I think that if I touch one person that goes to their elected officials and says, hey, I'd like you to take on this policy. If one person makes a call, if one person sends an email, that is going to make a difference. Until next week.